I speak on behalf of Human Rights First, an independent, nonpartisan organization dedicated to advancing American leadership on human rights. My focus today is on the dangers that arise when the executive branch claims unfettered authority in the name of national security. When presidents override constitutionally mandated checks on their power, they threaten fundamental rights, the rule of law, and democratic ideals. They also undermine national security. This is not a hypothetical concern. Indeed, now would be an especially perilous time to promote to the Supreme Court a judge who wouldn't stand up against presidential power grabs. The President has advocated torture and other war crimes, banning people because of their faith, deporting refugees without due process, and he's done all of this largely while bypassing Congress and expressing contempt for judges and the judiciary itself. So the key question you should ask of Judge Gorsuch is this: how would he respond in the face of what may be unprecedented threats to basic rights, separation of powers, and the rule of law? In our nearly 40 years, Human Rights First has never opposed a judicial nominee, and we do not do so today. Nor do we question Judge Gorsuch's credentials, which are exemplary. I'm here simply because his record raises concerns that I think you should address before moving forward with his nomination. The stakes are too high to get this wrong. Our concerns arise from the public record of Judge Gorsuch's time at the Justice Department. They fall into three areas: subversion of congressional authority, restricting judicial review, and torture. On all three of these issues, Judge Gorsuch is not a blank slate. As a political appointee at the Justice Department, he was directly involved in defending the Bush administration's claims that the President has extraordinary power to disregard laws in the name of national security, and that the judiciary either cannot or should not review such actions. These claims constitute a frontal assault on the integrity of our constitutional order. Not surprisingly, they were rejected by the courts. With respect to Judge Gorsuch's role on congressional authority, after photographs surfaced in 2004 showing horrific abuses at Abu Ghraib, Senator McCain spearheaded the Detainee Treatment Act, strengthening the ban on torture, which passed the Senate with 90 votes. Judge Gorsuch pushed for his presidential signing statement, saying the President could disregard that law to the extent it conflicted with his authority. Judge Gorsuch argued that the law was, quote, best read as essentially codifying existing interrogation policies, policies that included waterboarding and other forms of torture and abuse that Congress specifically intended to prohibit. Second, on judicial review, Judge Gorsuch repeatedly sought legislation that would strip courts of habeas jurisdiction, including for people who were tortured or unlawfully detained. He also played a lead role in the litigation strategy in the Hamdan versus Rumsfeld case, where the government argued that the President has the power to disregard the Geneva Conventions and that the courts are powerless to review that decision. The Supreme Court ultimately rejected these efforts to restrict the right of habeas and denied detainees the protections of the Geneva Conventions in the Hamdan and Boumediene cases. Third, on torture and standing up for human dignity. Some people, including political appointees in the Bush administration, like then General Counsel of the Navy Alberto Mora, were horrified when they discovered that our government had a policy of torturing prisoners, and they tried to stop it. Judge Gorsuch, by contrast, seems to have devoted his energies to defending it. These were the defining legal debates of our time, and Judge Gorsuch was on the wrong side of them. Policies he promoted and defended violated American ideals and inflicted unnecessary suffering, and they didn't strengthen our security. On the contrary, these policies compromised America's global standing, alienated communities whose support our country needs to fight terrorism, and handed our enemies a PR victory. Given this record, it's essential that you probe Judge Gorsuch's views on executive power, on torture, and the appropriate roles for Congress and the judiciary as co-equal branches of government. Did his actions at Justice reflect his legal philosophy or his desire to be a team player? Did he disagree with positions of the administration on torture? And if he did, why didn't he follow the example of others and speak out? The Senate must get to the bottom of these questions, because sooner or later, and with this administration it is likely to be sooner, the Supreme Court will be called on to protect fundamental rights, judicial independence, and separation of powers from a president who treats the rule of law as an annoyance rather than the foundation of our democracy. Thank you.